Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I bring you compilations of my previous season's podcasts from seasons 6, 7, and 8, an episode series entitled Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. This is episode 63, entitled Fire and Rain? Unifying Fragmented Economies to introduce the next billion users to the Web3 world. This Crypto Hipster podcast compilation draws upon 4 clips from 4 podcasts, previous seasons, 3 from season 7, and 1 from season 6. All my podcasts are available on the Crypto Hipster podcast station in their entirety. Spotify, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, you can find the Crypto Hipster channel, and you can find these episodes, including this one, this Curtain Calls episode. So, without further ado, let me introduce the people who I spoke with in this episode. My first conversation was with Karel Kubat. Karel is the founder of Union. I spoke to him during season 7 in June 2024. June 22nd, 2024. We talked about solving the sovereign trilemma and improving liquidity in modular ecosystems. Next, I spoke with Nathan and Rachel Kim. Nathan Kim is a marketing director at UNOPND, and Rachel Kim is a senior manager of events and partnerships at shardLab. I talked to them in season 6 in February 2024, and the title of our conversation was Bringing Together Fragmented Web3 Economies at the Southeast Asia Blockchain Week, and talked about their experience heading into the Blockchain Week in Southeast Asia. Third was from May 25, 2024, an amazing discussion with Chris Liquin. He's the CEO of Cupcake, season 7 conversation. We talked about discovering why social experiences are the best way to onboard the next 100 million people into Web3. Last but not least was my first conversation. I've had 2, but my first one with Billy Luedtke, who is the CEO and founder of Intuition. We spoke again during season 8. But during season 7, in June 2024, we talked about manifesting and rewarding attestations by creating customizable social graphs to filter your proprietary data. All these conversations were amazing. Please check them out. If any one of these clips intrigues you more, please do. I invite you to check out the Crypto Hipster podcast. And it looks like we're going to be having my new season. I'm aiming for April, mid to late April of this year. Stay tuned. It's going to be an amazing season 10. And when I combine season 9 and season 10, I need season 9 to pair with something. It'll be season 10. And that'll hopefully be be a very, very awesome season, just like seasons 6, 7, and 8 were. So this episode, again, is episode 63. We're going all the way to 67. So we're in the last leg of this. Last several. 63 is entitled Fire and Rain, Unifying Fragmented Economies to Introduce the Next Billion Users to the Web3 World. Enjoy. Check it out. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.
I think things have changed, but I want to find out how much they've changed. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with BNB, somebody there who they were getting into DeFi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum side, I'm seeing Aave, I'm seeing synthetics. I'm looking at the BNB chain. They have wrapped Litecoin, wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ethereum, but not too much else. How has it grown since then? and what are the new possibilities because of growth and development.
You mean in DeFi in general, what you believe ZK will allow there to occur? I think it can do much more complex products overall. Right now, DeFi, if you look into the actual code, how the products work, it's you can only access data like within that block, like the current state. So it works kind of okay for swaps. Options and such become harder. Automatically rebalancing ETFs are quite difficult as well because you don't really have access to historical data in a contract. You only have access to like the current data itself, and that makes stuff a lot harder. So ZK Tech here can make things a lot simpler because when you do this, use for example Herodotus or Axiom, you can create zero knowledge proofs over historical Ethereum data. So a contract can request give me the average price of these 10 assets over the last 3 years, and then do something with that. So that allows you to create more complex financial derivatives. And that's, to be honest, a big one. Another one is right now we have to keep our financial products kind of simple and we can't interconnect them too much because when one price updates, another price needs to update. You cannot get this like cascading price update when products depend on each other. And computing what those new prices are should be is quite expensive as well on chain. So we mainly rely on oracles and on liquidation bots to accomplish the goal of updating those prices and balancing all of this out. ZK Tech, you can improve that as well. What I am myself most excited about, to be honest, so the DeFi portion, I think, will just become a lot more efficient. We're going to see new users, more activity, but not necessarily products that look very new, like that to you will feel very new. But we're going to see better integration with the Web2 world. So projects like ZK P2P allow you to actually on-ramp yourself. So you can use bank transfers to get money on chain and mint your own stable coins. And they use zero knowledge cryptography to verify that you have transferred the money in the correct account before minting the funds. And the same when you want to release the tokens. You can also go off-ramp yourself without the need for a centralized party here, except of course the bank that you're off-ramping into.
I want to ask about the centralized party. You said Web2 has a better opportunity to integrate, and you also said it'd be useful for ETF rebalancing. In January, all these big companies and got the ability in the U.S. to sell Bitcoin ETFs, and recently they got approval for Ethereum ETFs. How do you see Union and what you guys do being able to help these massive financial institutions?
So yeah, for us, ideally, I'm really excited about products which are kind of DeFi in the front, business in the back, connecting the kind of TradFi world to DeFi, like Athena, right? Athena basically allows you to get exposure to yields that's being generated completely off chain. If you want to do this properly, you need very secure connections to the TradFi world, right? Like DeFi needs to be able to rely that we're not being rugged by the TradFi world. And that's basically Union's product, right? That's basically secure bridging. It's verifying that the other party indeed is doing what they're saying that they're doing, locking up tokens, locking up funds. So that's one portion I'm very excited about. So we're probably going to see a lot more hybrid DeFi or DeFi connected to permissioned ledgers, right? Getting products on chain that have exposure to private ledgers that banks use in between each other.
I want to talk about some of your successes that you've had so far and why you're going to be successful at this event. This Southeast Asia Blockchain Week is the latest in a series of events that you have produced. And you had a successful India Blockchain Week and a successful Korea Blockchain Week. What led you to organize the Southeast Asia Blockchain Week next in your series, and why? How has your series been successful to date, and how do you see it playing out and being successful again?
Well, like as like we started from like Korea Blockchain Week and India Blockchain Week, which is like hosted by Hashed. Since we are like a subsidiary of Hashed, we were researching about like Southeast Asia region, and it was like recognized for its most dynamic user base that is quick to adopt new technologies and services in Web3. And also with a population comprising of about like 10% of the world, the region like showed the potential of like Web3 mass adoption through rapid growth in the gaming sector as well. But like despite this potential, there hasn't been a blockchain conference like mainly focused specifically on Southeast Asia, the region as a whole. For example, like even other conferences that exist, it's like more based on like one Southeast Asian country, or even the global ones are like focusing on the global projects, not like focusing the Southeast Asian market. So inspired by the like successive Korea Blockchain Week and India Blockchain Week, we recognize the tremendous like impact that these events had in fostering dialogue, collaboration, and innovation within the blockchain space. So we were like kind of motivated to extend this platform to Southeast Asia, like a region that with its like unique dynamics and a rapidly evolving blockchain system. So is to create like a space that goes beyond just showcasing projects. We will aim to like foster collaboration and like synergy within the Southeast Asia crypto landscape, shaping the blockchain narrative in the respective regions. We think like we will be able to aim Southeast Asia blockchain will play a pivotal role in shaping the future of blockchain adoption, collaboration, and like innovation in the Southeast Asia and beyond.
Sounds good. So I want to talk about some of the topics that you brought up. You brought up 6 topics. One of them was gaming, right? I want to get a lay of the land on the gaming ecosystem in Southeast Asia and how, that dynamic ecosystem, because it has been driving growth for the rest of the world. What are you doing well? What are you doing right? And what does that landscape look like so that it could be sustainable?
Yeah, positioned as the world's gateway to blockchain gaming, Southeast Asia's dynamic ecosystem is not only driving substantial growth within the region, but also influencing the global gaming crypto landscape as well. So, notably, regional developments include, of course, Sky Mavis, a Vietnamese Web3 startup. The Sky Mavis was established in 2018, and they created the famous Axie Infinity. Also, Nintendo is also building Web3 narratives in Southeast Asia through their joint venture with DNA. They are actively expanding their Web3 businesses through PlayPark's mobile MMORPG, Dream of a New World. And they're also expecting to launch Albion, a steampunk fantasy MMORPG as well. So Southeast Asia's influence extends beyond its borders, serving as a catalyst for growth and innovation in the global gaming crypto ecosystem. The region's contributors are shaping the narrative and driving key developments that have far-reaching implications for the rest of the world.
I'm trying to think, about the user experience. Okay, so and the DGen mindset, right? So we want people to actively engage with the DGen culture. I think there was 1 million new meme coins that came out last month, some astronomical, crazy number, right? So I want to find out, first of all, how people can develop their own DGen mindset to help them become better social investors. Do that first.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think the DGen mindset is a learning experience. It's a fun learning experience, and I think it spits out all this culture, right? The DGens that are focused on the next meme coin or talking about the next airdrop, or they're excited about experimenting and tasting new technology just as much as they are, excited about profits, right? And I think what I've learned, over the last several years, really deeply engaging on crypto Twitter, is that it's such a narrative-driven space. There's, a lot of these projects don't have fundamentals, right? Even some of the most mature blockchain like Ethereum, it's hard to place a value on it based on its cash flow, right? You're not doing a discounted cash flow analysis quite yet. So how do you invest? How do you think about what's next? How do you think about what's going to do well, what's not? And I think it's having a cultural understanding of the narratives in the space and being able to weigh those against what else is being built, understanding how the crypto ecosystem or any given L1 and its little mini ecosystem, or even an L2 and its little mini ecosystem, how does that play within the broader space? And I think you need to understand the narratives and understand the builders, understand the people building these things, understand the teams. And that's all culture, and culture is told through stories. And so I think, you can right now, the best way to do that, unfortunately, is to get on crypto Twitter, to follow, the right accounts, to spend all your time just reading through and, trying to pick out the gems of wisdom from the right storytellers. But it's like a fractured experience. You got to go over to Discord, or maybe you're, also have friends in alpha chats on Telegram. You're all over the place. And I think what we're trying to do is bubble up the most interesting, salient, relevant parts of that discourse that's happening in such a fragmented way, and kind of make it more accessible. So at least people can understand that it exists. At least people can, again, celebrate, have fun, understand the memes, even if I'm not, checking the charts of Bonk versus Whiff versus Pepe versus Normie, at least I can understand that they exist. I can see that logo and be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And then the more I learn, the more I understand, the more I get my foot in the door on places like crypto Twitter, then you can start to really dive in and do your own research. But I think, you have to be willing to put in the time. And right now you have to put in a lot of time. There's just a very steep learning curve. And so I think what we're trying to do is soften that learning curve. There's still going to be a learning curve. You can't invest money without doing your own research. But I hope it can get a lot easier.
I've written a number of books, and the last 3 books are part of a series where, the crypto is more than just, dog, cat, sloth, meme coins, right? 2 months ago, I said these things have no value. That's when I wrote the first version. And by the 3rd volume, I'm like, these things have a lot of value on a social level, and maybe it's just like, I didn't get into it initially because I've always been the guy who avoids the big social situations, right? So even if you're somebody who avoids social situations, you're the guy across the room from the bar instead of at the bar with everybody. How can they start to develop to embrace the possibility of what they can do with meme coin culture?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that it's and not or, right? I think, I mentioned this earlier, it's a technological revolution, but it's also a cultural revolution, right? The blockchain. And blockchain has very immediate and powerful use cases in finance, but it also can impact a host of other applications, whether it's decentralized identity, whether it's even supply chain, whether it's healthcare. There's so many ways that this foundational technology can influence the world. And I think of, social and what's happening in kind of that Web3 realm as just one piece of that puzzle.
It's interesting that you said you could lose all your money or you could lose your identity, right? There's 3 promises to blockchain, right?
What are the 3 promises?
Banking for the unbanked. Or if you're a Celsius, unbanking your bank. We won't get that. Identity for the unidentified, and something else that no one focuses on, but you do. It's a voice for the voiceless. You're giving people a voice.
Yep. I think that's a huge one. And I think it's becoming ever more prevalent in the society that we live in. And it's a difficult balance, because when you start dealing with the identities of people, and if you let basically we let anyone claim anything about anything, and our primitives allow you to do that. Where it gets tricky is when you start dealing with claims about people and you enter kind of data privacy laws. But I don't know. I think that the protocol has to remain unopinionated. We can't, if we start preventing people from saying certain things, we enter this slippery slope of censorship and who knows where we end up. So hopefully people don't abuse the system. They will, because it's crypto, and like someone somewhere out there will do it. But for things that aren't people, I think the answer is real obvious, and I think people don't focus on this enough, where giving people a voice about things that aren't, human entities is really important, because I want to be able to claim. So the whole decentralized identity world is based on this concept of kind of private data by default and then selective disclosure. So you selectively disclose the data that you want to disclose about yourself. Now, where that breaks down is entities that don't have agency over themselves. So let's say, like, I want to claim something about the concept Ethereum. How is Ethereum going to selectively disclose its data? It's not a thing that can do that. So, like, and then you'd have to give someone agency over the concept Ethereum. Who's going to be that person? Is it going to be Vitalik? Then we start enter this world of centralization. So you kind of have to have data as a public good in these scenarios. You have to let people claim anything they want about anything and display that data. So when you deal with things that aren't people, I think the answer is obvious. When you deal with people, it gets more sensitive. But I don't know. My argument is I want to be able to claim some bad things about people. I want to claim that SBF's a scammer. I want to claim that the 3 Hours Capital guys are scammers. And if you can't do that, and you're only basing all of your judgments on positive attestations about things, which is the only thing that you can do in this world of selective disclosure, because their argument is the lack of positive attribute or positive attestations is signal that there's negative sentiment. But if you look at the 3 Hours Capital guys or SBF or whatever, they had a lot of really positive claims made about them. And so they could selectively disclose just the positive ones from before they were caught. And so then it would look like they were highly reputation, like they had really high reputations. So I think it's weird and it's nuanced and it's hard, and people like to dance around it. And the easy answer is, privacy by default, selective disclosure. But I don't think that's the right answer. It's way more nuanced. And so we have to think about these things, because to your point, I think I also agree. Freedom of expression is so important, and it is a superpower that crypto unlocks that people don't often talk about. So I'm really excited to try to bring it to reality.
I think it's awesome. And this is my show, and I can say SBF is a scammer. And I can say the 3 Hours guys were scammers, and I can say that Gary Gensler is a scammer.
Yep.
Been shut down since. So I do want to say a few hundred episodes ago, like 3 years ago, I interviewed some people and we talked about trust. We're still talking about trust because there's been no improvement. We're still running at a trust deficit, I think, more now than ever. What would the world look like if we had a truly, genuinely trustless global society?
Oh man, I think that's the ultimate end state, and that's what we need to strive for. I think removing trust from the equation trust is a requirement of coordination, and coordination is humanity's superpower. And so, like, if you are able to remove trust from all of our interactions and make everything trustless, you enter this world where we are able to collaborate and coordinate at a scale that is orders of magnitudes better than what we're capable of doing right now.